Whether you want to play the easiest jungler or the hardest jungler, the goal is the same for everyone. To climb as fast as possible. And here's the thing, whether you want to play an easy champion or difficult champion is irrelevant. The whole goal is you still have to be a good jungler. So in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 easiest junglers for you to play and the top 5 hardest junglers for you to play, but not something that you can only use in silver or only use in platinum. If you master the hardest champions and if you play the easiest ones, you can go from iron all the way up to master tier. Remember, simple kits are easy to execute, which means they're predictable. Yeah, you have a higher skill floor, but other people know exactly what you're going to do, so you have to think a lot more about how you use your abilities and how you leverage that with your jungling. Harder champions are more unpredictable and have more outplays, but you have to execute properly, and if you make a single mistake, sometimes it will simply cost you a moment, a battle, and sometimes it will cost you the game. These are the trade-offs. And the first one we're going to start with is obviously going to be Nocturne. His long dark trail of Q is easy to hit, his W gives him attack speed if you use it to block something, and that's great. Hey, I know a spell's gonna hit me, I'm just gonna block it. The E is point and click and gives you guaranteed CC, and of course with the movement speed buff, if you hit someone with that Q Dusk's trail, you will be able to follow them. He has that semi-global presence with that ultimate that brings the darkness down upon everybody. Yes, as always with these simple champions, there are downsides like being ultimate dependent for ganks, but you can skirmish really well, so it's only a problem if you have bad ganking recognition. And sure, you can be kited, but if you use Stridebreaker, have good entry points, you'll be fine. And because you don't really need to build squishy anymore, and Stridebreaker, Black Cleaver, Shojin allow you to destroy and survive, Champion provides quick clears, chasing power, CC, he can disrupt enemies, and his ultimate is an absolute game changer for split pushing, team fights, and simply not letting people see anything while you destroy the enemy Soraka for the 50th time. And if you want to understand how to apply these champions and information to your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries that has weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's converting junglers to gold, to emerald, to diamond, to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle div every game you play, click the link below or head to virkayu.gg. And it wouldn't be a top 5 easiest junglers video if I didn't have Jarvan. This champion has been so damn overtuned for how simple his EQ combo is. Yeah, there's skill expression and the flash mechanics with that, but as a baseline, it's not that difficult. His ultimate traps people in a place so your team can actually kill them. It allows easy follow-up. And because his Q gives you armor shred and his W gives you a shield, and his passive does percentage max HP damage, you now have the ability to, yes, build damage and also build fighter and also build tank. In the current iteration of the game, we are only building Gore Drinker Shojin, a little bit of a nice ability haste combination going on. But the team fighting, even if you're behind, is exemplary because of his lockdown. And again, because that Q provides armor shred, it applies for all of your team's damage, yes? And the E gives attack speed that you can of course use on turrets and regular auto attacks around fights as a zoning tool. A simple kit that, even though predictable, is very difficult to avoid. He annihilates everyone, and with Gore Drinker builds, honestly, it's just a little bit disgusting at the moment. All you really need to think about is your tracking, your ganking, and your general jungling, and Jarvan will let everything fall into place by destroying your enemies, even if they know exactly what's going to happen. Hey, yes, we have to put Briar. You might think, but she's just released, she's difficult. No, that's why her win rate is 2% higher in low elo. But you can use it all the way up to high elo, and her kit is pretty damn straightforward. You've got your W, you can cancel it with your E, you got your armor shred and your stun on your Q, W goes over walls, you got damage reduction, you've got healing, you've got lifesteal and bleed damage, and a cross-map ultimate like the Nocturne that allows you to use your pressure points in certain places. But you can be doing a dive, a gank, an invade, and end up in a mid lane, bottom lane, top lane somewhere just by pressing ultimate and hitting somebody, and then off you go, fleeing everybody in the area, having an enhanced berserk, your damage and your heal on that W2, oh, of course, the heal. Percentage HP as well as a heal, it's incredible. Absolutely insane ability on that W. Skirmishing, insanely strong early without atomization. Simply snowball, get yourself your regular fighter items, go lethality if you wanted to do that as well. Enemy teams will either die or never kill you. Pick your poison, it's easy, everyone knows what's going to happen, and yet it happens. So the honorable mention here is Diana, but we are going, as you see, with Hecarim. Diana will full clear, strong post 6, she can loop everything, has a shield, AoE abilities, strong engage, assassin fighter, but she has no real escape mechanism. So even though she has all of these things and you can play her like that, there are certain downsides to the champion. With Hecarim being buffed yet again and him being dominant for 3 damn seasons and right not letting him be bad for even 1 patch, which is very irritating. He has DPS, he has sustain, he has a huge movement speed gap closer, he can go phase rush to go in and out, which Diana cannot. He has an absolute game-changing multi-fear on his ultimate. Yes, he's reliant to movement speed, but there's a lot of movement speed creep in this game. Yes, he can in theory be kited, but when last did you see a Hecarim really be kited before he killed you? Sure, he can be mana hungry, but Riot Freak was like, what if we made him, even easier and not mana hungry? And then he can just build Spear of Shojin and just Astro Fist you. Q is crucial for stacking your damage and your fast clears, a little bit of skill expression there. His E and his ultimate are absolutely powerful for those ganks. Basically, he can do whatever you want. The biggest problem with Hecarim mains is they are the slowest mains on the planet in terms of buying the items that are actually good on him when Riot changes items or the champion. So if they figure that out, we're kind of screwed because even though we know what's going to happen, it ends up happening. And finally, this will be a point of contention because again, we could use a Rammus, we could use a Mumu, but I feel like outside of Rammus being Giga broke in this patch, he won't be broken next patch. And Mumu and him are really low elo picks. You're not going to get to Master Tier easily playing them. But with Lilia, hell yeah, you're going to. And now people are saying, no, she is not difficult. And I'm saying this champion is the biggest bullshit champion in the game at the moment. If she had more pick rate, if she had higher presence, she would be nerfed. And it requires next to no skill. How incredible is that? Fast clear speed, you've got movement speed, no one can stick to you, you've got percentage damage tick. You've got yourself some healing for no particular reason. Nothing should be kiting you because you kite them. Your R sleep is absolutely insane. Multi-sleeps late in the game. You got Q flash mechanics, you got true damage, sweet spot damage, and the Swirl Seed E, which you can just chuck down the lane and take half my HP away for no particular reason other than you built, Rod of Ages and Demonics or Leandries, and it's even worse. With the Rod of Ages build, and again, the Leandries are still good, but with the Rod of Ages build, there is next to no downside to this champion. Even if you're having a weak game, all you need to do is show up with your itemization spikes and you will rinse. You will sustain, you will be unkillable if you space properly. It's not difficult to do, takes a little bit of practice, but it's not difficult. This is the easiest jungler to play in relation to the power she has in the game at the moment. Not the easiest jungler to play in the game as a baseline, but with what it gives you in terms of your LP gains, which, as you can guess it here, should be more than enough for even Challenger in her current state. Especially when everyone else is building Gold Drinker and a lot of HP. And now as I get animated, and you know why I get animated over those champions? Because we're going to the hard champions now. But the most important thing is the easy champions have as much power as these hard champions, or even more power, with a fraction of the IQ investment. And that can be frustrating when you have to do so much to win. At the same time, if you know how to play these champions such as Kindred or Elise, you're gonna have a much better time in the long run because you will be able to deliver your righteousness no matter the meta. Weak champion, weak meta, strong meta. If you're playing Kindred and you're playing Elise, you can smurf. You can 1v9 and you can control things. Now I put Elise here because she struggles a little bit in the current modern game, and she's the honorable mention here to the Kindred like Diana is to, of course, a Hecarim. Maximizing your damage and understanding the fluidity of her form swapping, that's very, very difficult. Understanding the tempo control with the jungle, knowing turret dives, knowing how to use E properly, using all of your animations fluidly. These things can be gained by anybody, but it's really difficult to do in a great way with your jungling, and that's where most people struggle, and it takes a lot of time to become a beautiful Elise player. Kindred, on the other hand, has had an obnoxious meta this season already where they became really easy. And that was a problem. Kindred is a really difficult and highly skill expressive jungler. That means when her win rate is 52 and everyone can play at any rank, you know she's too strong, which means you know amongst the best players in the world, she's really, really too strong. Ranged AD damage on a jungler, potential scaling with your marks and snowballing with that, invulnerability on the ultimate, and we didn't even get onto the mobility with your Q and your W, the percentage max HP, the percentage missing HP, the pseudo execute on that E, the healing that is provided. The issue always was you couldn't full clear, much like in Elise and things like that. You couldn't full clear. Now in Season 13, you can do that, but it's still not always the best way to go about things. You want to be predatorial. You're hunting. You're looking for prey. You're looking to really not scale, but snowball. Bring that late game to the mid game when no one can touch you. When a Kindred does that, and it's a good Kindred, you know the difference. The invades, the wall hopping, the map mobility, the circumvention of vision. There's nothing quite like watching a Savant Kindred work when the champion is in a very balanced state. The same can be said for Talia. This champion, as we're seeing in Worlds, is not something you necessarily want to always blind pick, but in solo queue, you don't always have a choice. That's why she's difficult to always execute. You might have worse matchups, you might not have the best setup on your team for your WE combo, but she provides so damn much wave clear, damage, CC, the E interrupts dashes. The W commits the ultimate disengage or engage, and if you have something like a Renekton, a free burst combo on your chosen carry. Yeah, you've got the worked ground mechanic on the Q1, but now the Q2 is a big old-fashioned boulder that you can use to clear faster and do a lot more damage in general. The thing that makes it really, really difficult is proper positioning is required to make full use of Q. Timing your W is really, really difficult, and you have to know exactly when to do so, predicting enemy movement and combining it with your E. And of course, we haven't even touched on the fact that she's got insane roam potential with her movement speed passive and that absolutely insane ultimate that allows you to travel through time. No, just through rocks. You don't travel through time, just rocks. But those rocks do allow you to go wherever you need to sort out the business of winning. Following this, I'm going to put Lee Sin, and of course this is going to ruffle some feathers because you know that there's 2 more to come. And while he isn't as difficult as he once was in terms of his actual animation cancelling and doing all the combos that, everyone in gold can do now, Riot did make it easier, he is still insanely difficult to play and still ridiculously hard to execute perfectly. This isn't necessarily about only playing these champions. The difficulty here with these ones in this section is they are difficult to master. The most hardest champions to master, and not just champions to play in general, but they kind of have a lot of crossover. So high early game impact, mobility with ward hopping, and of course your Q, knowing to save your Q for the maximum missing HP proc, knowing when to line up the perfect 5-man kick for an engage or disengage. The skill ceiling is almost unnatural. You rarely see it played perfectly and optimally, and definitely has been known to fall off in the late game, except we know in this particular meta with these items, you can kind of be okay. But for sure is not an ultra scaling champion, so the idea is still to win early, win hard, and win frequently. If you know how to maximize his lifesteal, his slow, his shields, his ward hopping, his Q, his kicks, and hitting all of these consistently, and understanding not only this, but how you can abuse enemy junglers aggressively. That's right, you're denying the enemy jungler, ganking lanes, and power farming, and taking objectives, and getting 6 first. This is what it is. He is the jungler that has to do everything, and when he does, and mechanically has the ability to show off, woo, that's a good time. Now we enter the land of cats, the one-eyed, well, he has 2 eyes, but they're 2 different colors. Kind of funky. Kha'Zix did it. Kha'Zix, though, is really medium difficulty, but Rengar, and they buffed Ghostblade, and everyone thought, hey, this champion is so easy now, such free LP. You know what's funny? Everyone that isn't a main or one-trick started playing Rengar thinking it's OP. The win rate in patch 13.10 with Ghostblade, the one that was really broken, yeah, his win rate, that went down. Think about that. His usage rate went up, his win rate went down, and he was disgustingly broken. That's because he's really difficult to use. The unique hunting mechanic with brushes is something no one ever really stops to use probably. Made a tips and tricks video including a lot about Rengar because he's got such cool skill expression, like for example using your Q and brushes to jump faster. His engage pattern can be kind of linear in terms of, oh look, he's gonna jump on me with the ultimate, but at the same time it doesn't really matter if you played the game perfectly and got that lead, you gotta get there. Because if you don't stack your bone tooth, if you fail to secure early kills or sort of any gold lead or experience lead, you're not gonna really be able to do much. And if you jump in through a brush or through your R and you have no out because you don't save your W because you're going for triple Qs, and you don't really have the fedness that you think you do, and you jump in the wrong moment, you're dead. You're useless. There's no way out. There's no forgiveness. And then just regular animation canceling, cycling of abilities, and properly maximizing empowered skills. This is the stuff that makes Rengar so beautiful to watch. Go watch Scrub Noob, and then go watch a Scrubbed Noob. It's like looking at Mufasa and then looking at a weird, useless house cat that, well, I love my cats, but you know what I mean. But then it's also about using your slow, the E-Flash mechanic frequently and often, using the slow, using the empowered Ebola, and then understanding macro. Hey, the game's not going my way, I can't teamfight. I'm struggling to find these openings to assassinate. Let's use our split push potential to exert some macro control to create those environments. Rengar is the ultimate pilot of the map from start to finish. He contorts everything around him, and when you're mechanically gifted, you understand jungle tempo and pathing. You know all of the matchups. Even in a weakened state, the champion is used by one-tricks and mains alike to get to Challenger. But if you already happen to be Master Plus or Challenger, then Nidalee is the one you're gonna want to use. Categorically the most difficult jungler in the game to execute because of the form swapping, animation cancels. Everything is animation cancelable, by the way. And you can use it to cancel autos. Spears are not as easy to hit as people like to meme Yankos about. The clear is super good, which means do you invade, do you gank, do you apply pressure, do you AFK farm? Probably not, but you can scale that way too through great counter jungling in the current meta, but you're squishy if you get caught out. If you don't use this lead with jungle knowledge and mechanical fluidity, you don't really get to do anything, you become useless. Her traps are great for vision control, her E provides some utility, she isn't just an assassin of enemy junglers. But if you were to imagine the most difficult champion mechanically, that understands to execute passive proc with the Cougar form into that Q, that understands how to jungle with such insanely high tempo with zero forgiveness, but knows the control that she can have over every game no matter the matchup, and then the utility she can provide to close the game out, if you put that into one package, it would be Nidalee. So playing the easiest or the hardest jungler is irrelevant on your climb as long as you know what you're doing and you can execute. All of these champions will allow you to thrive, but only if you understand how to play in the new jungle meta after the nerfs. For that, click the video on your screen to learn.